So many people have come to me and said, when is Mudassir Sheikha coming on stage? When is Mudassir Sheikha coming on stage? Next, with Jehan Ara, they're going to be having a fireside chat. Mudassir Sheikha is the CEO of Careem. He co-founded Careem in 2012, and today it is a leading technology platform for the region, operating in more than 100 cities in 14 countries. Careem has more than 3,000 employees with more than 1 million drivers. Many of us used Careem to get here. I hope you use the 20% discount. A big warm welcome for the big bird, Jehan Ara. That's how she wanted me to introduce her. And Mudassir Sheikha. Please come on stage.
Yalla. The main thing we were looking for back in 2012 was we wanted to build something. And we knew it had to be meaningful and it had to be big.
There was also a need to create inspiration. There was also a need to create confidence and self-belief that these big things can also be done from here.
We learned to dream big. Never in our wildest dreams have really thought of us being where we are today and having this impact on the ecosystem.
This is my card. I'm from CID. We've released this video. I was actually very scared.
This guy basically told me, look, you'll be shut down.
10 of our captains were taken by the police.
This hack was something we never had before. A risk like that can actually mean the end to everything we have built.
There were a lot of sound bites about what side are you on.
Vision is going to keep evolving, but the purpose will remain the same, to simplify lives and build an awesome organization that inspires. And if we can simplify the lives of people, a lot of that potential can be put to better use.
That positive impact will spread, and ultimately this can really change the fabric of society.
Thank you. Mudassir, great to have you back. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Last time we did that, it was over Zoom because you were in Dubai and I was here. So really welcome back. There are a lot of people. You've got lots of fans in the room. So a lot of learning that many entrepreneurs want from you. I wanted to start off by asking you what, in your opinion, you think has been your biggest achievement with building Careem?
First, Jehan Ara, thank you very much for being such a promoter of this ecosystem. You've been doing this longer than anyone remembers. And I know these events don't just happen, right? They take a lot of effort to pull together. So thank you on behalf of everyone in Pakistan and outside of Pakistan. So look, we got lucky.
Takes more than luck.
Yes, of course. But you know, we found ourselves at a place where somehow the confluence of problems, opportunity, macro situation made us ignite the ecosystem. And I remember back in 2012 when we started, you know, you need two things to build successful businesses. You need capital, and you need amazing people who will work super hard. And in 2012, there was no one willing to invest in local or regional startups. This asset class didn't exist. People saw stories of what was happening in Silicon Valley and other parts of the world, and for some reason, they never thought that these kind of outcomes can be built from this part of the world. So, you know, one of the things that happened as a result of going the full story, right, like starting, scaling, exiting, I think we made people realize that you can actually make money from it, which unlocked a lot of the capital that region has. You know, the Gulf is a net exporter of capital, but all of the capital was being deployed abroad. Now family offices, sovereigns, everyone wants to invest in tech startups. And I say it with a lot of humility. There is probably not a investor deck in the region, whether you're raising for a fund or you're raising for a startup that doesn't have Careem there in some shape or form. So alhamdulillah, capital got unlocked as a result of that whole cycle. And then capital itself is not alone, as we know, right? You need amazing people. And unfortunately, 10 years ago, a lot of the incredible people in the region wanted to work at multinationals. And I grew up in Pakistan. I'm sure every mom wants their kids to get a good education and work at a multinational, right? Somehow that's the sort of the dream that we grow up with. But if all our amazing people will work at foreign multinationals, who's going to build these amazing businesses from the scratch? So I think that got unlocked as well. I think a lot of awesome people from the region now are doing startups. People that are working at multinationals want to join startups. And once you bring the combination of capital and talent, this ecosystem thrives. And we just became an instrument through which this happened. So in hindsight, that feels very special.
Yeah. Guys, you know, there's one thing, this is a surprise. I have a few questions that I'll put to Mudassir, but then we're going to open it up to the floor. So keep your questions handy so that we can then have a Q&A. We haven't had any Q&A today, so I think that should be interesting for most of you, okay? So Mudassir, you know, we meet a lot of people now within Pakistan who are termed the Careem Mafia, who are building new companies, doing a lot of things, hiring people. What does that make you feel, and how do you think it all came about? What kind of people did you hire? What kind of teams did you put together that resulted in this Careem Mafia?
Look, it makes me feel very proud and humbled, right? Inshallah, these people will go and create things even larger than Careem. So it's really amazing to be seen as somehow responsible for it. But I think there are probably a few things that we did at Careem that really created this effect. Number one, this value of being super ambitious has been a part of our DNA from the beginning. So we call it to the moon and beyond. And the idea is that nothing is impossible. If you want to achieve something, shoot for it, and there's a good chance you'll get there. And if you don't even shoot for it, if you don't give yourself enough credit, then there's no way this will happen. So I feel that anyone that worked any number of years at Careem probably left with some of that, right? कि यार, nothing is impossible. अगर इंसान चांद पे पहुंचा है तो I can go get to the moon as well. It's just going to be a combination of my effort and how hard and I pull, right? So I think that's one thing that a lot of people left Careem with. The second, they built it with their own hands. It's not just about me saying something, doing something. The Pakistan business, against all odds, was built by many of the people that are sitting in this room, right? I see Junaid there. There are many others. Zishan is here in the audience. And when you build it yourself, you're like, yeah, it can be done. There's no rocket science to it. ये तो लोग कर चुके हैं और लोग करेंगे. But somehow we just felt that these things were not possible, right? So when you have a combination of super ambition as a mindset and a value, and then some proof point, कि यार, I've done it, this thing has resulted in something, then you're like, yeah, let's give it another shot and give it another shot, and sooner or later I'm going to get there.
Okay, now when the acquisition happened, any learnings from the acquisition that you'd like to share? Anything that you might do differently now?
There's so many things that we would do differently. This is part of the journey, right? I was talking to some entrepreneurs a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling them, कि यार, गलतियां तो होंगी. Just make sure that you don't make the mistakes that we made, right? Make new mistakes. And then make sure the people that come after you don't make the mistakes that you made, right? So I think this is just part of the process, right? If you're not making mistakes, you're not taking risk, you're not being crazy enough, right? And you have to be a bit crazy to do these things. But I feel the acquisition was done for the right reasons. And it was very easy for us to say, कि यार नहीं, we'll hang on to Careem, this is our baby. And the precedent of selling local businesses to foreign global startups has not been great, right? I remember in the Middle East, Maktoob was a business that was sold to Yahoo, and now no one knows Maktoob, right? And there's like probably 20 other such stories, right? You sell something to a global startup, global business, and then sooner or later, they don't get it right and they sort of abandon it, right? And the brand just disappears. So that was something at the back of our mind as well. कि इतनी मेहनत से बनाया है, could Careem meet the same outcome, right? In the hands of a global business that is currently interested, but may not be interested in the future due to whatever happens on their side, right? But we felt that the ecosystem value is worth it. We had an investor, I think Chris Rogers was here a few years ago as well.
Yeah.
And he really gave us a shakedown. If you don't sell Careem and make this deal happen, you are actually being selfish, because you're basically not giving this ecosystem an exit that it actually needs to sort of erupt in some shape or form, right? And he was right in many ways. But I think we did the best we could, right? We kept Careem independent. Log keh rahe the ki Careem aaj hai, kal nahi hogi. But alhamdulillah, with Dara's blessing, with Uber's support, Careem was kept as an independent brand. It was a bit unfortunate that COVID happened. COVID really broke our back, right? Like 90% of the business went down. Many tech businesses benefited from COVID, but alhamdulillah, unfortunately, we got massively impacted.
That was going to be one of my questions. How did you handle that and continue to run the business even at a reduced rate? What were the lessons that you followed that maybe some of the entrepreneurs here could learn from?
You have to move fast. And it's very easy to not do anything when things change, right? And things are changing now, right? It's probably already too late, right? You should have already changed what you were doing, and I'm sure most of you have. But, mota, don't get into analysis paralysis, figure out the big things that need to be done, and just do them very, very quickly, which is what we did in COVID, right? This is in April, May 2020, we had to let go 1/3 of the people at Careem, right? This was super, super painful. But if we had not done it, the burn that we would have carried would have, at some point or the other, made Uber wonder why the hell are they still carrying on this burn for a business that is a fraction of the size that it was before the acquisition. So you move super, super fast, but you still invest, right? Because you don't invest in the right places, then you're not going to have anything to show for it, right? So in so many places, we invested. We pivoted to becoming a super app. The delivery businesses were, of course, on the beneficiary side of the crisis. So we built a delivery business, which alhamdulillah in Dubai has done really, really well. And it's starting to get very meaningful. Super app was launched. We started a payments business also in Dubai. So we started investing in things that we felt were more relevant in that time, and we made sure that those investments continue to happen. Now, is there going to be some collateral damage? Yes, when you're doing these big shifts, there will be some collateral damage. But if you don't get comfortable with it, then you're not going to survive, right? As they say, the people that survive are the people that move the fastest, not the biggest, right?
So what next for Careem?
Look, I think if you have been to Dubai, which many of you have, from a product side, you see the future of Careem, right? In some ways, we have said, let's build it and prove it in one market, and then we'll give ourselves the license to do everywhere. So that's quite well understood, for many reasons. There is value in customers being able to do the same thing on a single app. बहुत सारी चीज़ें, locations, cars, login, what we learn about you that can allow us to personalize other things to you. All of these things we believe make sense for having multiple services on one app. And then on the business side, it makes a lot of sense as well, right? When money was cheap, you could have one business do this thing and another business do this thing, and they're very, very similar. For so many reasons now with the capital environment shifting, you have to realize these synergies, and we feel that we are a natural owner of many things that are being done independently. So wo baat to, I think it's clear on that product side. But what I'm actually most excited about is the 1 to 100 journey of Careem. We've been around for 10 years, but we've just been from 0 to 1. I think the region can and should produce a Google or Amazon. And inshallah, when we produce that Google or Amazon, that's going to uplift everything. I was sharing with some of the colleagues, if you pick any company like of these big techs, right, Google or Amazon or others. Apple, of course. The market cap of one of them is larger than the GDP of Pakistan, plus the GDP of Saudi, plus the GDP of UAE, plus the GDP of Egypt. Isn't that mind-boggling?
It is, but how do we get there?
How do we get there? Of course, we don't know the path to get there, but we know it's been done.
Yeah.
ये तो नहीं है कि मार्स पे जाना है जो कभी गया नहीं है कोई कि नहीं जा सकेंगे. कितने लोगों ने किए हैं? And there are people that have done it who actually didn't come from some of the same backgrounds that we came from. Now with this information age, we have access to so much knowledge, so much learning, that you have to believe it can be done. Right? I often look at, if you guys have read this book, Made in America, which is Sam Walton's biography, Walmart, which is probably what, $100, $200 billion business, where did Walmart start from? A dehat in America, right? Albuquerque, New Mexico, like Bentonville, Arkansas. Like, who has ever been there, right? But if someone that comes from that town with very limited means and education can build a global business, the likes of Walmart, why do we think we cannot build it? Yes, it's not clear, it's not going to be easy, but if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right? But we have to believe we can get there. And if we don't give it our 200%, then there's no way we can get there. But if we can get there, then just imagine, right? The value that will get created will overcome the political challenges that we have, will overcome the economic mismanagement, will overcome so many handicaps that are holding us back. So look, we cannot fix some of those things, or at least I don't think we can fix, I can fix those things, but we can make a big, big shot at building an Amazon or Google from this region. And if we do it, inshallah we will, then this is going to be massively amazing.
Do you think we have the resources in terms of the human resource available in Pakistan to make this happen? Because you've worked with a lot of people now, local young people, many of us have. Do you think it's doable?
I think everyone can tell there is no shortage of potential.
Be careful what you say.
No, there is no shortage of potential, right? I think, but potential, of course, needs to be developed. There is no shortage of potential. Alhamdulillah, Pakistan, which is a sad thing, right, if you think of it.
Yeah.
This is a country which has a large market, so many problems that need to be solved and businesses to be created based on solving these problems. We have a population that is super talented, hardworking. It's the middle thing, right? We have the opportunity and we have the skills. वो middle में जो है ना, वो middleware, as sometimes we call it in tech, is missing, right? And that middleware needs to be fixed. So I think we have the potential. Now, companies like Careem, we will produce more talent, we'll train more people, and inshallah we can be a little bit ahead so that as a lot of startups that are growing, they can take the offshoot of the talent that has solved and made mistakes that we're making and learn from them. So yes, it's not easy, but look, I think it can be done. Remote is a blessing as well. On the last panel, you can access talent that is sitting globally. There are a lot of Pakistanis, people from the region that are sitting in other parts of the world who have scaled some of the big tech things that we talk about, right? So yeah, talent to hai. But masla ye hai ke ambition chahiye, and sacrifice deni hai, passion chahiye. And it's hard, right? This is what is needed.
Okay, tell us a little bit about your journey from being a startup founder to becoming an investor, because you have been investing, right? Yeah. And together with that, tell us of the most exciting investment that you have made, if you can share that.
Look, I think the journey is somehow what Careem gave us. Now it feels like a responsibility, right, to sort of give back. So my methodology is spray and pray, quite simply. If someone comes in who is going after a big problem, doing it for the right reasons, I feel it's a responsibility to write a small check and validate that opportunity, and that's what I do. I don't spend a lot of time being an investor. I spend most of my time running Careem. On the best investment, look, it's basically asking a parent, right, who's your favorite child. So I'm not going to answer that question, but alhamdulillah, there are a few very, very exciting prospects, let's say.
Okay, so we'll hear good stories.
Inshallah.
All right.
Inshallah.
Okay, guys, if we have a mic, let's get into the audience and see if, and please don't tell us your story. Just ask the question that you want to put to Mudassir, because we're already running behind. I'm told that this is not what's expected of this conference. We should stick to time. So we have exactly 8 minutes and 41 seconds. Do we have a mic? I can't see, so I don't know if anybody's waved at me.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
My name is Ahsan Jabbar, and I'm just wanting to hear your comment. We've listened about 20, 30 odd startups raising $5 million plus minus there. My take, I've been involved with tech since 2004. Bait.com came to Pakistan. I've been involved since then. And I feel that in Pakistan, tech system is going to develop once we have 200 startups, maybe raising $250,000 and not 20 or 50 startups raising 5 million plus minus. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I don't have a perspective per se, but you know that this, with some lens, it's the probabilities game, right? And you know, you will have a very, very small number of outliers that will break through. So in some ways, you're right that the larger the funnel is at the beginning, the more chance that you will get those outliers. But that funnel is going to shrink very quickly, right? You know, I bet you that there are a lot of people raising $100,000, $200,000. हो रहा है, बहुत organically. I hear this. I'm sure a lot of people in this room are doing it. But the things that you probably hear about are probably the ones that are breaking out, that are the second stage. And then a small number of them will break out, and then a handful of them will break out, right? So you're right, but I think I feel what is expected to happen is happening.
Hi, my name is Mudassir Sheikha. I wanted to know, if you were to start a business today in Pakistan, what are some of the biggest problems that you would think are viable to solve from a business perspective and create value?
It's a good question, and again, I don't live in Pakistan as much as you do, but so I'm not as familiar with the problems. But my sense is that most of the problems are quite basic. Any basic चीज़ों में हम फंसे हुए हैं अभी तक, and we're not able to do big things and fancy things. So I would probably fix something basic and find a big basic problem that requires fixing. Now, for me personally, education feels like a big basic problem that needs to be solved. But sometimes some of these things may not be there yet. Because timing is also important, right? You can solve a problem a bit earlier than its time as well. So if you can play the long game, I would pick education because it's a basic problem. It's a problem that can make a ton of impact, but you have to play the long game most likely in it. But otherwise, there's so many problems and there's so many people in this country. Just find a big problem and go after it. You'll probably be fine.
Hi, Mudassir. My question is...
Who is this? Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. This is Shumaila from Founders Club International. Actually, I'm working on transferring my idea to a pitch deck. So I wanted to ask that if you have an innovative product, how do you think that you can get the market to adopt your idea?
Yeah, it's a good question. And look, I think I'll say a couple of things which will not answer your question fully because there's no sort of prescriptive answer. But I heard something very interesting at some point, that a good product doesn't need marketing. And again, it's an ideal world, but it's actually true directionally, that if you have a product that is solving a problem for people and it's a good solution to that problem, then trust me, you know, the people that are having that problem will seek you out. If you delight them, which is something that you should do with your product, make sure that they have such a good experience that they become your marketeers, right? There should be a lot of positive word of mouth that happens in the way that you deliver the solution to them. And that organic growth, if it's a good product that is creating that word of mouth, will probably give you the first leg of growth that you need to sort of go out and raise money and then build it further and grow further. I think the mistake that I feel a lot of people have made in the last year or two when capital was cheap is that we didn't build a great product that was wowing people. We built a product that was okay. It was filling a problem, but it was not delivered in a way that created that word of mouth. And then we started spending a lot of money to promote this product. And then a lot of people did the same, and then it really became a very crowded red ocean, as they say. So build a great product, make sure that it wows people, and people will probably do the rest for you.
Who's next? There's one person here in the front, Babar, I think.
Is it? Am I
After the
audible?
next question, if you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Amna. I'm from Farmdar. I basically wanted to know, but because in the recent past, there's a lot of startups that have tanked and huge startups, people had a lot of hopes from. What would be one advice for early-age startups with big dreams, and what is one thing you think they should be more focused on at the moment? Thanks.
Yeah, at the moment you should be focused on, your burn. Make sure that you have enough money in the bank for the next 2 to 3 years. But let me share something tangential but related. The last 10, 12 years were just weird. This is not, what happened in the last 10, 12 years is not normal, right? Because normally you start a business and you start making money from that business, and the money that you make from that business, you invest in the new business or the new market, and then you start making some more money, and then you invest in the third thing or the fourth thing. What happened in the last 10, 12 years, and we are culprit of it as well as Careem, wo pehla business jo kiya hai, in the markets that we cared about, even before that started making money, we said, "Kachha, second business bhi karna hai, third business bhi karna hai, fourth business," and everything is losing money. And somehow the capital markets incentivized it, enabled it, but that's not normal, right? What is normal is you build a business, focus on the business, focus on a market, make that thing profitable, and then the money that you make from that will give you the license to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. I give people the example these days. Starbucks, big company, big brand, everyone knows it. They entered India in 2012. Like Starbucks, big brand, India, big market. I'm sure there are many people at Starbucks saying, "Man, why are we not going to India early and letting all these local chains dominate the market? It's going to become difficult, all of this stuff." But they waited, right? They waited for the right time to enter a big and important market, and now they've actually become the top player, if not the top 2 player in the country, right? So just focus on making that one thing and the few markets that you focus on to make them profitable. And if you have a great product with the right focus, you'll get the chance to go into the next market and the next market. Don't rush. And now you don't have to rush because everyone else is going to play the same game or will be required to play the same game in some shape or form.
One last question.
Hello, this is Ali. I attended a conference some days back, and there was a discussion about inclusion of purpose statement. Because usually we know more about vision, mission, but it's now about purpose.
Right.
Why do organizations exist? I would like you to share your experience if startups are being socially purposeful. When they set their purpose statement, do they have some intent for the society? Because there are so many, and together they can create a much more impact. So inclusion of purpose statement in the overall strategy of the startups.
Yeah, it's a great question, and one that is often overlooked, right? And I think if you, and I'm going to generalize and bash the Silicon Valley for a little bit. If you go to Silicon Valley today, and I lived there for many years, and I have a lot of friends who are still there, thodi si rat race ho gayi hai, right? Acha, I'm doing this because others are doing it. They just bought a big house. They bought this big thing. I'm doing it because I want to become rich, right? I'm doing this because others around me are doing it. And frankly, I find that really, this is what it has become. But I'm sure 20, 30 years ago, Silicon Valley wasn't like this. And, it creates a very transactional relationship with your colleagues or employees, with your customers, with your stakeholders. And I feel that Careem got lucky. Careem got lucky that the starting of Careem was not that कि यार हमने ride-hailing business बनाना है या transport बनाना है. Some of you might know my co-founder Magnus Olsson. He had a bleeding in his brain, and he almost died. And he said, "If I survive, I'm going to build something big and meaningful." He wanted to leave his legacy on the planet. That was the big idea. The big idea wasn't transportation. The big idea was to build something big and meaningful that can be his legacy on the planet. And we then translated this into something else, and we said, why are big things not being done in this region? And we realized, okay, a lot of potential exists, but that potential is just getting lost in the daily friction of life. So we said our purpose should be to simplify lives, and simplifying lives is not enough because you also need to build confidence and self-belief and inspiration. So our purpose became to simplify lives and build something that inspires. And I kid you not, right? There's so many reasons not to be doing Careem right now. It's hard, it's painful, kids are growing up. Why are you doing it? My dad is in the audience, my mom, my wife, everyone is like, kya dimag kharab ho gaya, kyun kar rahe ho bhai? And the only thing that keeps us here is purpose. The only thing that keeps many people at Careem still there is purpose. So if you can figure out why you're doing it and articulate it, remind yourself, remind others, it is going to create so much passion. It's going to create so much energy. People are going to sacrifice everything they have and more to make this thing successful. And you'll have incredible resilience. They're not going to give up regardless of what comes, because this is what they're doing it for.
That's it. This guy is going to ask a question. You can't speak, I think she'll
Okay, sure, thank you.
Hello, my name is Yavar. And my question is, how can we incentivize businesses to become more inclusive?
Good question.
That's a great question. Look, I generally don't believe we should expect a lot from governments. We should probably just take things in our own hands as much as possible. So I think one is just, there are some policy things that can be done that will create incentives for businesses to become more inclusive. And outside of that, I think there's some work that needs to be done to create awareness, because you have to believe that there is strength in diversity. There is strength in having different perspectives, people from different backgrounds, from different capabilities. And if, let's say, that starts becoming a little bit more mainstream as a view, then businesses will become open. Because at the moment, people only see the sort of the challenging part of it, don't see the sort of value part of it. And then it's very easy to say, yeah, I'm a startup, I'm this business, I cannot afford to do it. But if people start realizing that actually it helps them, and it does help them because those perspectives, that capability helps, then I think people will become just more open to it. So some awareness on the value and benefits of doing it will probably go a longer way.
Thank you. Thank you for asking that question. I think we all have to work on it together. Thank you, Mudassir. Sorry, Babar, I think you'll have to take it on one-on-one with Mudassir. We are out of time, and I'm going to respect the time, because if I don't, then who will? Thank you for your time, Mudassir. I'm sure there's been a lot of learning. We're going to sit down now and listen to Junaid, who's up next.